This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world, Options Trading Academy. I'm here today with Latasha Palmer from Subconscious Therapy Works. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Latasha on is that she is the mindset counselor, mental health coach for my VIP program. And one of the reasons why I partnered with her is because I really understood the importance of psychology and mindset in allowing traders to become successful. One of the biggest issues most traders have is once they learn all the technical stuff, what defeats them is psychology. And this is something I struggle with. I understand a lot of other people also struggle with. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is to make our program different, to create some type of competitive advantage in the marketplace, is to add Latasha in because of the value that she can bring that's going to last a lot longer than just throughout the particular coursework. So what we want to do is do an update, kind of like a year-end update with her, and kind of ask her to reflect on, out of all the people that she's counseled in this particular space, what are some of the challenges that they're having as traders on the psychological level, on the subconscious level, and also how do they overcome them? And can she give any feedback to get traders to understand the big importance of understanding how once you can kind of not master but manage your subconscious thoughts and what's going on inside your head, how that can put you in the best position to be successful. So Latasha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show, David.
No problem. I really appreciate you coming through. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to come through.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first question we want to ask you is that based on your experience and based on your counseling in the years that you've had in a particular space, what are some of the mental blocks that you think affect most traders?
People come to the table with so many different issues. It could be behavioral. It could be past traumas. It could be that they procrastinate. They aren't focused. The main thing that I'm seeing is the procrastination. People are not giving themselves the time in order to do the research that they need to do. They're trying to fit this all into their life somehow. And so what I do is I help them through that to see that you have to give yourself the time. There's no other way. You have to give yourself more time to be able to understand what your program is all about. Look at the bigger picture of their own life and make that time. So time management is a really big one.
So what do you think is driving the procrastination? What do you think is the underlying issue that's making that thing take place?
It's subconscious blocks. They've been so used to living that way that they're now just recreating that over and over again. So they may be procrastinating in other areas of their life, and now that's spilling over into their dreams because they have been thinking about this dream for a long time, but to actually go ahead and execute it, there's a subconscious block there. And it could stem from childhood. We never know until we get inside of the session and really just look at the big picture of why they're really procrastinating. Some people just have fears of making money. They have fears of failure. They have fears of all kinds of things that come into play, depending on how they grew up, what is their mindset. So what I'm trying to do is to change their mindset to get them to understand the importance of giving yourself the time needed in order to, become the person that you're really looking to become.
Definitely. And so why do you think when you're dealing with somebody, and especially in this trading space, is that they're not necessarily aware of what could be blocking them? So they're doing this every day, it's becoming part of their behavior, but they don't see it. Why do you think that's the reason?
I think that they don't see it because they choose not to see it. Once I get a person into the subconscious therapy and we go into what I call a subconscious detox, and that's where they're just closing their eyes, they're thinking, and I'm having them to release any negative images, feelings, thoughts, emotions, things that they've been holding on to. And once they release those, then they can see that, oh, I was the problem all along. And this is the reason why I was the problem, because we always have the answers inside of us. It just takes someone sometimes to just guide you through it.
Definitely. So let's say I go through one of your sessions and I realize, here's some of the blocks that were blocking me. And I realize that, the problem starts and begins with me. What happens in a scenario where a person outside of the particular environment in which they're getting the session Now we got to go back into the real world, and then we may have a relapse. We may go back into like our old behavior patterns because of, the environment, some of the stresses, things of that nature. How often do we see that relapse, and then what can a person do to try to avoid relapsing back?
Relapses happen all the time. I do provide an audio that I would like for you to listen to at least 3 to 4 times a week, because your brain needs to be trained.
Mhm.
And once you train your brain for about 21 days, then you start to see little changes. The relapse comes when you're not putting in the work. If you're putting in the work every single day, or you are, really trying, you can have setbacks, but your brain is now trained to overcome those setbacks. So yeah, I just try to tell people that, you're human. We all have relapses. And the most important thing is just to get back up on top of it again and realize that you can overcome this.
Yeah, definitely. And I really agree with you, because one of the biggest things I realize is that um, when it comes to the markets, we take whatever issues we currently have, we bring that into the markets.
Yes.
And a lot of times we'll be unsuccessful in the markets, and we think it's based on the market. And really, it's this: we've had patterns in which we were unsuccessful before we got into the markets, and then we just play that out in a new environment. And so one of the things that I saw with myself is that I had a tendency to where I would try to make things difficult to make them interesting.
Yeah.
So I would be in plays and be successful, but to me it was so easy. I would wait for the play to turn around because now it became interesting. I was losing money doing that. And so I realized that one of the things I'm constantly still working on is taking the easy money. Because once you really understand how to trade and you understand how the markets work, you will refuse easy money because it's not interesting. You want it to be a struggle or a challenge or something. And that's a pattern that you play out. So instead of you taking what's right in front of you, you want to avoid that, but go to something that you think is more interesting, even though the risk of you having success is a lot lower.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something I'm constantly working on, because I will identify plays in the market that are very difficult plays, but they're very interesting, as opposed to taking the easy plays that have a much higher risk of success, just because I feel like, well, you know what, that's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
So these are the kind of things that I was really glad I was able to come in contact with you, because when I talked about really lowering my risk, I was putting myself in a lot of risky situations just because I was interesting, but this is stuff I have been doing my whole life.
Yeah.
So I was an action junkie, my whole life, the way if it's not you can put me in a high risk, high danger situation, and to me, like, it's hilarious. I don't even get scared. So then I took that behavior into the markets.
Yeah.
Which means what? You just go through a lot of money, because to me, if the situation wasn't high risk and extremely dangerous, it was just boring to me. And so I had to really work on myself to realize, well, you don't have to make your money like that. But this is a pattern I had been playing out pretty much my whole life, which is why I had the life that I had. Because I could be in very, very dangerous situations and it wouldn't bother me. That's what my mother told me back when I was young: you need to go into the military, because she identified that in me at a really, really young age. So that's something I really was happy to partner with you on, because I realized that other people in their own way are having that same type of scenario, where they have a set of problems they're bringing into the market that's not allowing them to be successful. And they're thinking it's the market, or I got to learn more about the market. But really, you got this behavior pattern that you were stuck in, that you're just taking into the market, that's kind of defeating you.
Yes, exactly. Let me just say something about your program, David. Your options trading program is really gold. It really
Okay, I
is.
appreciate it.
And let me just give the analogy of what I feel that your program is. What you're actually doing with the students is that you are giving them the fishing pole, you're giving them the knowledge on how to use the fishing pole, you're giving them information on the baits that they can use, and all these wonderful things that they have, and you're teaching them how to fish so that they can provide for their family for the rest of their lives. And I believe that people need to invest in themselves, because people are spending over $100,000 for college. Okay. And they're coming out with these degrees and they can't earn any money. You are offering them something that doesn't cost very much. And they're able to take what you've given them and to be able to make unlimited amounts of money. So it's really gold, because whether they buy the program today or they buy it later on, it's something that they can always use over and over again. And it's also valuable because they can always go back to it.
Yeah.
You can always refer back to what you said in this chapter or that chapter. It's really, really valuable. And I think that for people not to get it would be you're just messing your own self up. If you're interested in doing these trades, this program it's amazing. It's amazing. My sister is doing your program and she tells me about it all the time. She is so fascinated at the amount of information that you put together in this program. You really worked hard to put this program out, and she is finding the value in it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I work very hard because the thing about me is, and I say this all the time, is that what I realize is that if I can give some people correct information, they can be successful at it. That's what I wanted to do. And what I also realize is that, and this is also part of my, my mental health journey, is that I don't just have to criticize what I see wrong. I can try to do the right thing.
Yes.
And so a big breakthrough for me is that, well, I see that there's a lot of miseducation in the marketplace. Let me try to make sure people are educated properly based on what I was able to have success at.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think is a lot of people have this perception that I'm just doing this from a theoretical standpoint. I'm really giving you what I learned from my own tried, true, and tested method. So I don't put anything out that I haven't done before.
Yes, you're an expert. You're an expert.
Yeah. So I really appreciate it because I learned from, I was getting ready to, I was getting bored with the market because the money was coming so easy. And I had a woman tell me, well, you should probably teach it because it'll give you a challenge. Because like I said, I'm attracted to challenges. So that's really what I did. So the challenge now was just to expand it. But I really appreciate people seeing the value because what I try to do is over deliver. And I knew if people, once they started to understand what was in it, they would see that I over delivered. But it takes a level of competency in the space and for them to get a little bit more exposure to it, for them to realize what they actually got from it. Because you're not the first person to tell me that. A lot of people told me, you're really giving away a lot for a very low price. But I know I'm dealing with an audience that has had little exposure to the market. So it may take time for them to realize what they actually have, what they received. And that happens because I tell people all the time is that it wasn't until my mother passed away till I realized how much she really was doing for me, even as an adult.
Yeah.
But because it was a consistency in her behavior, I didn't realize it. And so a lot of times until something is not available to us, we don't really realize what we have. But I really appreciate you giving me that compliment and that feedback, because that's really what I tried to do was make sure that I over deliver on the value.
Yes, you do.
Ma'am. Yes,
you
ma'am.
do.
So then what we want to talk about next is from a subconscious level, what are some of the things that you think can help people have trading success based on, your experience counseling people in this area?
I think that the main thing is to get rid of those subconscious blocks first.
Okay.
And then I start to give the suggestions of, being more focused, being calm when you're trading, eliminating anxiety. If you're suffering with depression, what is that depression about? So I work with many different topics because everyone is different, when they come to the table. Some people, they're just anxious just to start, you know what I'm saying? And then you have to kind of just figure out, what are they anxious about? Why do they want to do this so bad? Because sometimes you could be really anxious and you can mess things up. So you want people to come and be focused. You want them to be knowing who they are, what they can do with the actual information that you've given them, and making sure that they're comfortable too. So the value that I believe that I give is that I can help you to see the value that you have inside of yourself. We all have value. I want you to have a higher self-esteem, more confidence, feeling secure, and you're thinking about money. A lot of times people, they've been so used to feeling like making money is hard. And it's only hard because they're blocking that. They're making it hard. Or maybe the lifestyle that they were living was hard. I mean, when you get up every single morning and you're going to work for the man, and you're fighting traffic, you're punching a clock, you have to ask for a break. you can't just come and go as you please. Your time is just, very limited. And so that's a hard life. And they take that and they think that everything is going to be hard just like that. And it's not. That's not the real world. That's what you created. And so you can also create a world where, even if it is hard, at least you're working hard for yourself. You're doing something valuable that's going to make your future a little bit better for you and your family. So I try to get people out of that psychological thinking that everything has to be hard.
Yeah, right. And so let me ask you a question, because on my entrepreneurship journey, one thing I noticed when I started getting around kind of like I would call them other ethnic groups, is that a lot of people that were very successful in these spaces had some type of subconscious therapy counselor or some type of personal development counselor that dealt with their subconscious, especially the people that were operating at a really, really high level. And one of the things I noticed is that for the mainstream, we're taught to kind of like learn more academic information as a way to being successful. We'll never talk about the subconscious side of ourselves. Why do we think for the majority of the population, there's such a big disconnect from understanding how much your subconscious can actually provide? Subconscious therapy can actually be a benefit to you. But for the people that are kind of like at the elite level of society, this is something that they're very heavily invested in as a way for him to get the success that they desire.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I believe that everyone is following everyone else. And the majority of the people, like you said, it's a rat race down here. And people, they're looking at what their parents did, they're looking at what their friends have done, and they're trying to mimic that. And what they need to understand is if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're going to have what everybody else has. But once you start to look outside of that and you say, well, look at somebody like Elon Musk, people would think that he's weird and he has some crazy ideas, but he understands that you have to do things differently from the people down here in order to go up there. And that's the difference. The difference is just a change of mind. It's just that simple, David. And people, they just don't understand that. If you change your mind, you will change the people that you're hanging around. You will change the things that you're listening to. You will change the way you're thinking about money. Because when you're hanging around somebody who is, wealthy, and say you go out to lunch with a friend and, she's ordering lobster tails and, filet mignon and, an expensive wine. And you're looking at your pockets and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't order all of that. But you don't want to be embarrassed. See, so you will take out that credit card and you will order just like, your friend ordered, and you may suffer with it later. But to your friend, that's a normal everyday thing. If you're hanging around somebody like that, you're going to start to get the same psychology because you're like, well, if I'm going to hang with that person, I have to have money like this too, because I don't want to be embarrassed. So you will start changing the way you're making money. You'll start thinking differently because now you need to afford that lifestyle. So it's really just a change of thought.
Okay. And so what do you think can be done to get people to kind of understand more that they need to have that change of thought? Do you think it would take like some more outreach or a different type of marketing, the way we position these particular type of programs? What do you think you get more people to understand? Or do you think that more people just should understand it and, it should only be exposed to a small amount of the population?
I think that first and foremost, you have to invest in yourself. There's no other way.
Okay.
If you don't have the mindset to even invest in yourself, you can just hang it up. But yeah, it first has to come with that. Once you realize that you have to invest in yourself and you do come to someone like me or, another self-help, program or whatever it is that you want to do, you have to do that first, because that person is going to coach you and he or she is going to try to reprogram the way that you're thinking and question those things. So when you say to me, well, I'm broke. Okay, so broke, what does that mean? You don't have any money? Well, why are you saying that you're broke? Because broke really means, you're broken down. Something is broke. It's not working anymore. So it's just the conversations that you're having, the things that you are saying, is really affecting how your life is playing out. And so once you invest in yourself and you deal with somebody who is talking all these things and teaching you how to not say things like that, then that's when you'll understand that, you know, I was wrong. And now I see that because this person has taught me this, they'll actually see it start playing out in their life, and that's when they'll start to change.
Okay.
But yeah, it's first and foremost is investing in yourself. If you don't want to invest in yourself, you're not going to get it, because no one's going to do this for free.
Okay.
They're just not.
Okay, I feel you. So what do you think if, could be a block from somebody investing? Is like, let's say, a block from someone investing in themselves? Do you think it may that they don't see the value in themselves, or they don't want the result that bad?
It's both. They don't
Okay.
see the value in it, and they don't really want it. Because sometimes people just really don't want anything. They really just don't. They'll say they do, but they really don't. Because when you want something bad enough, you'll go for it. You'll take at least small, tiny steps to get there. Sometimes you may not have the money to invest in yourself, but that means that you have to save.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to put some money away. You have to figure out, and there we go with the planning again. Planning is very key to everything that we do, because when Christmas time comes around, people automatically have money for Christmas. Like, where did that money come from? They planned for that. And so that's why they're able to just splurge, and like they don't do that any other time of the year. But in Christmas, everybody has money and there's presents. So why don't you put that money aside for your holiday? And your holiday is invested in yourself with something that you really want to do.
Definitely. Okay. And so I also wanted to ask you, let me pull this up real quick. So from a subconscious thing, right? And one of the biggest we deal with traders is that, and I think that a lot of people is a block, is a fear of failure. And I think a lot of people may feel like, well, you know what? One, we see with a lot of traders, they don't exit positions because they have to admit that they were wrong. So that makes them lose money in a position that's going against them. Because as a trader, sometimes you have to very quickly say, you know what, I was wrong on this, let me get out. How have you seen how that fear of failure negatively impacts traders? And then what are some things that a trader may be able to do to kind of deal with that fear of failure?
Okay. Well, I always address failure like this. I mean, you have to fail in order to win. Okay. There's no other way around it. It's just a part of life. And through that failure, we learn something very valuable in that, so that we can, turn it all around and then win the next time. So yeah, don't be afraid of failure, because we all have to do it. It's just a part of life. And so I just drill that into people's heads to let them know, yeah, I mean, you have to fail. Like, we didn't just, like, the first time we got on a bicycle, we probably all fell off, but you still got back on that bicycle until you learn how to ride it. And it's with anything that we do, school, relationships, there has to be some failure in there in order for you to gain the knowledge that you need to make yourself better.
Okay. Do you think over time, dealing with the failure becomes easier, or is it just something that you just have to deal with, even though it may not become easier for you to accept?
Yeah, I think that it gets easier as time goes by. I really do. I think it's the mindset, though. If you are going into something thinking you're going to fail and you fail, you just created your own self-fulfilling prophecy. So you got to check what is it that you keep thinking about, because you can't keep thinking failure and win. So yeah, you have to just know that it's all about the way you're thinking about the situation. If you fail one time, say, I do something and I fail. Okay, all right, I fail. I'm going to win the next time. Yeah. You have to keep that at the forefront of your mind at all times, or else you won't win. If you keep saying that you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. But yeah, we all fail. But the most important thing is to change our mindset about failure.
Definitely. Okay, so, and I want to just let you know, I really appreciate the value that you've added to my program, because if we just took access to you and maybe 3 or 4 of the modules, that would, to me, be it would justify the cost of the program. So we've added so much in there, but I think really, to me, you're our point of differentiation, because anybody can create a trading program. And even though I have my own perspective on trading, but what I think you add is our point of differentiation. But I would, encourage every other person with a course to copy what we're doing, because I really think this is where the real leverage is at. I never thought the leverage was you knowing more about the market. What allows us to be successful or unsuccessful in this world, and I know this from my own experience, is what's going on inside our head.
Yes.
And we can literally program ourselves to be unsuccessful or program ourselves to be successful. And we're really not taught that at a very young age. We're taught it's everything else around us that allows us. It's all this external stuff, but it's really what's going on between your head on the subconscious level.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you partnering with me, because I had the idea of it and you were very receptive to it. And you've added a massive amount of the feedback that I've gotten from the students. I've had even people that were not students of me told me that they reached out to you and you were a lot of help to them. I had a guy told me you really helped him with his time management. So me partnering with you really was a blessing, because it allowed me to add a ridiculous amount of value to my program. And I'm start thinking about how to position myself from a marketing standpoint of talking about what you bring being our real value add, or our point of differentiation, or our competitive advantage. So I really appreciate it. So is there anything that you want to add before we let you go? Because I don't want to hold you too long. I know you're busy.
Well, I just want to let your audience know that getting the subconscious therapy is very important. It's very important for traders as well as everybody else. Even if you're not a trader and you watch David, it's a really good thing for you to start changing your mindset, because once you change your mindset, you're going to see that you're getting better and better each and every day with, whatever problem that you're having. You don't need to just sit there and suffer with that problem. Just get help for it. If you don't even reach out to me, reach out to someone else, because life is supposed to be lived abundantly. And David, what you bring to your program is absolutely phenomenal. I'm telling you, people are changing their lives with the information that you are giving them, and they're going to be able to, retire. Pretty soon they're not going to be able to work their job anymore, because they're going to see that there's no value in that. And the value is having your freedom to be with your family and to be with your loved ones and be making money all at the same time.
Definitely. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you? From the contact information.
They can reach me on my website, www.subconscioustherapyworks.com.
Okay.
And then they can email me at latasha@subconscioustherapyworks.com.
Okay. So Latasha, I really appreciate it. Have a good, safe rest of the afternoon, and we'll get up with you later, hopefully early 2022.
All right. Thank you so much, David.
No problem.
God
Thank
bless.
you. All right.